Hello, my crafty friends. It's Marie from Marie's Vermont Creations, and today I'm participating in a hashtag driven hop. I will have the hashtag in the description of my video, so you can click on that and follow along with everyone that's participating in the hop. And this hop is celebrating Kathy Aranzana and Marla Harris from Mad About Cards and Crafts, for them both reaching 1,000 subscribers. They're they're well beyond that right now, but I will link their channels below. They're two great ladies that I met working on Team Tiny, and they have since graduated, but we are doing this hop to celebrate their success. So I'm showing you here my making of one panel of alcohol ink background. I'm taking some yellows and some different oranges that I had in my collection and just sprinkling them on. I'm going to use some of the isopropyl alcohol to get it moving around in a straw until I get it to be a way that I like. Once I do that and I have the panel semi-dry, you don't want it to be fully dry because this won't work. You want it to still be tacky. I'm going to take some gold foil and adhere that down so it will stick to this panel, and it absolutely comes out beautiful. So I'm going to do an orange panel. I'm not going to show you all of them, but then I did another one for green and I did another one for red. I absolutely love my alcohol inks. I forget how much it is. I enjoy using them until I find a reason to bring them out. And what better way to make a fall card than doing these deep, rich alcohol ink colors. So I've just sprayed some alcohol onto the panel. I'm like, oh boy, screwed that up. I've now got this big spot, but just keep playing. You can keep adding. You can, just drop in some more color, move it around. That's the beauty of these. If you didn't like it, you could honestly spray it with alcohol and completely wipe the entire panel free of all of the alcohol ink. It will leave some staining, but you can absolutely take away what you've done. This is Yupo paper that I'm working on, if I didn't say that already. So that is going to be my panel. After, of course, sometimes I don't know when to leave it alone because I will just keep going and keep going and adding more color. But I absolutely love how all three of these turned out, and the gold foiling worked on every single one of them, which is a rarity for me. I usually get maybe one panel that will work. I do need to invest in the Tim Holtz little air blower because using the straw, it's a lot of work and it's really not recommended. It's not good for you. You should be using alcohol inks in a well-ventilated area, so they are something to keep in mind if you haven't used them before. So now I'm going to take and just put this foil down, and I absolutely love this when you peel it away and there's a big section. It's just there's something exciting about it, but it was so tacky that I'm going to struggle to pick this piece of foil back up. So these two ladies, like I said, I met them working on the Team Tiny, which is a group of small YouTubers who are below 1,000 subscribers. So we would do monthly hops. So that's how I came to know Kathy and Marla. And they're both wonderful ladies who provide awesome projects on their channel. So I highly recommend, if you haven't heard of them before, to give them check them out. And like I said, I'll link them below. So here's just a picture of the three panels that I had done, and I'm going to take a leaf punch, which is from my stash. This thing, I couldn't tell you where I got it from, and I just punched out a pile of the different colored leaves. I live in Vermont, and this screams fall in Vermont to me. So then I'm going to make a slimline card. I am using some lunch bag cardstock from Brutus Monroe. And my panel I'm going to put in my MISTI, and I'm going to use a sentiment from the Thanks and Leaves stamp set, which is from Simon Says Stamp. I'm going to get this placed down, and I'm going to ink it up using my Versamark ink, stamp it a few times to get a good impression, and then I will coat it with my gold embossing powder, which is called Gilded from Brutus Monroe. And then I will heat set that until it's smooth and melted. And if you've been to my channel before, you know how much I love watching metallic embossing powder melt. It never gets old. So I'm just using a coffee filter to catch all the excess and to make a mess, of course, because I had the coffee filter flat. At some point I'll make a mess with it, because that's just what I do. And then after I get this heat set, I decided that the panel needed a little something more. So I'm going to take the Versamark ink pad and I'm going to swipe it along the edges of this card panel. And then when I do that, I will coat it with the gilded embossing powder as well. So that kind of ties in the gold all through the panel. Now, I didn't necessarily love how I had swiped all of the areas. So I'm going to take a dry paintbrush and just clean up. See, this is where I made a mess. I knew it was I knew it was somewhere in here that I got embossing powder everywhere. But once I get that all over and clean up my mess, I'm going to take a paintbrush and just even out that edge a little bit so some of the thickness is a little more consistent. I don't want it to be a complete straight line. I do want some variation in the size of it all, but it was just a little bit too much. So I'm just taking this big paintbrush and going to tap, and then I'm just kind of scooting the paintbrush along the line so that I don't make it a complete straight line. And then I will give it a good flick from the back to make sure I get off all the excess powder that might be clinging to the center portion of the cardstock. And I will heat set that with my tool until it's good and melted. And then I'm going to take this pile of leaves and get them arranged how I like them in a big pile on the left-hand corner of this card. I do some fiddling to make sure that I didn't want too many of the same color next to each other, but I still wanted it to look like a random pile of leaves. So I'm just going to work on that. And then I'm going to take my press and seal from the grocery store and adhere it down to all of these so that I don't have to try to remember where I had these and place them back down while I glue them. So I'm going to pick them all up at once and adhere my art glitter glue to the back so that I can put them down all as one again. It's just so much easier than trying to fiddle with remembering. You can, if you don't have press and seal, you could take a picture of your card front, and then that way you kind of know what your layout was, because I'm famous for having a layout, going to glue everything on, and then it ends up not being glued down the exact way that I had my layout the first time. Not that that's a bad thing, but when you're going for one thing and you take a completely different turn, that happens to me a lot. So I'm just going to press these down, and once I peel away the press and seal, if there were little areas that look like they might need a little extra glue, I just add that in, just lift it a little bit and add the fine metal tip under there to get some more adhesive. And then I'll take a few more and adhere them continue along the bottom of this card panel. And then once my glue's had a little bit to dry, I will take my long Tim Holtz scissors and trim off anything that's hanging over the card panel. Then I will, on the inside of the card, adhere just one of the extra leaves that I had and adhere this card panel to my card base, which is also some lunch bag cardstock, using some foam tape. So I'm just gonna get that adhered to the front. I didn't realize I had done the same size as my card panel, so I was expecting it to be a little bit smaller. So then I just line it up on the table so that, you know, you can get a good match. And that's going to finish this fun fall card. So I hope that you check out Everyone in the Hop. Again, it's hashtag driven. There are prizes along the way, so the more that you comment on everyone's videos, the more chances you have to win. As always, I hope that you have a great day.